Nestled in the heart of northern Orange County, California, the city of Orange is a place of sunny streets and close-knit communities. But beneath its quiet charm, a tragedy unfolded that would leave a family shattered and a community searching for answers. This is the story of Maribel Ramos, a woman whose life was marked by courage, ambition, and an unbreakable bond with those she loved, a life cut short in the most unthinkable way. Maribel Ramos, a 36-year-old Army veteran, was a beacon of strength from a young age. Growing up in a modest household, she was studious, compassionate, and fiercely driven. A close-knit family leaned on her as she often took on a nurturing, almost maternal role, helping to hold things together while her mother worked 2 jobs to provide for them. Maribel's dream was clear from childhood. She wanted to serve in law enforcement, ideally as a police officer, protecting and serving her community. After graduating high school, she took her first steps toward that goal, working as a security guard to gain experience in the field. But in August 2001, at the age of 24, she made a bold decision that would shape her future. She enlisted in the U.S. Army, hoping it would open doors to her dream career. The catastrophic events of September 11, 2001, shook the world, and Maribel's path took a dramatic turn. As a soldier, she was deployed to Iraq, serving 2 grueling tours of duty in a war-torn region. Her bravery and leadership shone through, earning her the rank of sergeant and the respect of her peers. She trained as an airborne paratrooper, a feat that spoke to her fearlessness, something her sister Lucy later remarked on, saying, "I'm terrified of heights, but Maribel could do anything." In 2008, after 7 years of service, Maribel was honorably discharged and returned to civilian life, ready to chase her dreams once more. Never one to rest, Maribel enrolled at California State University, Fullerton, to pursue a degree in criminal justice, a step toward her goal of working with the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. She moved into an apartment on the 1800 block of East Rose Street in Orange, initially sharing it with her mother, who was her rock. Tragically, in 2009, her mother passed away, leaving Maribel to navigate both grief and financial strain. To make ends meet, she posted an advertisement on Craigslist, seeking a roommate to share the 2-bedroom apartment. Among the many applicants, one stood out: Kwang Kol Joy, who went by KC. A 54-year-old man of Korean descent, KC presented himself as a quiet, professional individual looking for a fresh start after the loss of his parents. Maribel, who valued a calm and orderly home, felt a good vibe from him during their meeting. KC moved in, bringing with him a small Yorkie and a reserved demeanor. The two quickly developed a friendly dynamic, with KC keeping to himself and respecting Maribel's busy schedule of school, work, and personal goals. He described her as a sister, even forming a bond with her family by tutoring her niece, Giselle, in mathematics. For Maribel, juggling her studies and a part-time job, KC's low-key presence seemed ideal, promising a peaceful home life. By the summer of 2013, Maribel's life was vibrant and full of promise. She had recently started dating Paul Lopez, a relationship that was new but brought her happiness. Her academic journey was nearing a milestone. She was set to graduate from Cal State Fullerton with her degree in criminal justice. She had been invited to speak at a conference in Chicago about her transition from military to civilian life, a testament to her resilience and leadership. Maribel was also making time for the little things that brought her joy. She had a hair appointment booked, spent afternoons shopping with Giselle, and enjoyed long walks with her dog or hikes in nearby canyons. Her sister Lucy recalled how Maribel saw her upcoming graduation as the start of a new chapter. After years of intense focus on her education, she was ready to embrace life fully, traveling, deepening her connections with friends and family, and perhaps settling down to start a family of her own. But on May 3, 2013, everything came to a halt. KC reached out to Lucy, his voice heavy with concern. Maribel hadn't returned home the previous night, and her car, a reliable silver sedan, was still parked outside their apartment. With her university classes long over for the day, KC worried something was terribly wrong. Lucy, trying to stay calm, suggested Maribel might be stressed and out for one of her beloved walks or hikes. She loves her dog in the outdoors, maybe she just needed some air, Lucy told him. But KC's unease didn't waver, and he decided to call the Orange Police Department to report her missing. Hours later, Lucy's own concerns deepened. She learned that Maribel had missed her weekly softball game, a cherished ritual she never skipped. Even more alarming, she hadn't shown up for her part-time job on campus, where her punctuality was legendary. Maribel considered 15 minutes early as on time. A no-show without a single call or text was a glaring red flag. Lucy and a cousin raced to the apartment, their hearts pounding. They found the door locked, with no response to their frantic knocks. Maribel's car sat untouched in its usual spot, and the sound of her dog barking inside sent a wave of dread through them. They immediately contacted the police to update the missing person report Casey had filed. When officers arrived at the apartment, they forced their way in, expecting to find clues. But the scene was eerily normal. No broken windows, no tampered locks, no signs of a struggle. The living room was tidy, the kitchen undisturbed. But when Lucy stepped into Maribel's bedroom, her stomach dropped. The bed was unmade, a stark departure from Maribel's military-honed discipline. Even more troubling, a pillowcase was missing from her bedding. For someone as meticulous as Maribel, these details screamed that something was wrong. The police took the situation seriously, recognizing the gravity of a missing veteran with such strict routines. They called in the homicide unit to assist, a move that underscored their growing suspicion. Casey returned to the apartment, claiming he had been out for a drive to clear his head. He spoke to the police, describing his last interaction with Maribel on May 2nd as routine, with nothing out of the ordinary. "She's a stubborn woman, strong-headed," he told them. No one could force her out of the apartment. He speculated that Paul or a friend might have picked her up, but Paul quickly confirmed he hadn't seen her that day. Maribel's purse, keys, phone, and credit cards were nowhere to be found, and there was no activity on her bank accounts or social media. Her phone, which had last been used for calls with Paul, was now powered off. Desperate for answers, Maribel's family, friends, and KC took to the streets, handing out flyers and pleading for information through local media outlets. Lucy spoke to reporters, her voice breaking but resolute. "There's no question something's wrong. My sister didn't disappear because she wanted to. She has PTSD from her military service, but it's not the kind that would make her wander off or hurt herself. Someone knows something, and we need to find her." Maribel was last seen on the evening of May 2nd, 2013, between 7:30 and 8:30 p.m., in her neighborhood. Flyers detailed her appearance: 5 feet 2, 130 pounds, with a distinctive star tattoo on her left shoulder. The Orange Police Department labeled her disappearance suspicious, but leads were frustratingly scarce. The apartment complex was equipped with security cameras, but none directly faced Maribel's unit. Since she and Casey often parked on the street rather than in the complex's lot, parking lot footage was unlikely to yield clues. However, one critical piece of evidence surfaced. Security footage from the manager's office showed Maribel dropping off her rent check on May 1st, at 8:30 p.m., dressed in light blue pajama bottoms and a white tank top. She appeared to be heading to bed shortly after. The timestamp placed her in the apartment less than 24 hours before she vanished. On May 6th, a prayer vigil at Calvary Church of Santa Ana brought together Mary Abel's loved ones and community members. The crowd lit candles and shared stories of Mary Abel's courage, urging anyone with information to come forward, even anonymously. "Maribel fought for our country in Iraq and South Korea," Lucy told the crowd. "She's an airborne paratrooper, a hero who served 2 tours. She deserves justice. If you know something, please call the Orange Police at 714-744-7403 or visit findmaribel.com. Even the smallest detail could help." Investigators turned their attention to Paul Lopez, Maribel's boyfriend. During an interview, Paul described their relationship as new and non-exclusive, admitting he was seeing other people, but unsure if Maribel was. "Don't ask, don't tell," he said lightly, trying to ease the tension. He provided a clear alibi. On May 2nd, he was working from 4 p.m. to midnight, a fact verified by his employer and the GPS tracker in his truck. Paul cooperated fully, allowing police to search his vehicle, which turned up nothing suspicious. He was quickly ruled out as a suspect. However, Paul shared a troubling detail. Maribel and Casey's once friendly relationship had deteriorated. Casey was frequently late with rent, and Maribel had confided that his life was going to hell, creating tension in their shared home. On the evening of May 2nd, Paul overheard a heated argument via speakerphone. Maribel demanded Casey move out by the next day, while Casey pleaded to stay for 2 more weeks, refusing to pay rent up front. Paul, concerned by the intensity, offered to come over to support her, but Maribel insisted she could handle it and was heading to bed. Then, a bombshell emerged. A 911 call Maribel made on April 21st, less than 2 weeks before her disappearance. Her voice trembled as she spoke to the dispatcher. "Hi, this isn't an emergency, but is this call recorded? I'm crying because I'm scared. My roommate Casey and I had a discussion tonight, and I told him I'm not comfortable living with him anymore. He's supposed to move out by the end of the month, but I have PTSD from my 2 tours in Iraq. I told him I have a gun which I don't just to keep him at a distance. He sounded like he might hurt me, and it was unsettling. I keep a machete by my bed for protection, and I'm worried I might hurt him in self-defense. He's developed romantic feelings for me, but I don't feel the same. I'm calling to let you know that if something happens, it was self-defense." The call painted a chilling picture of Maribel's growing fear of KC. Investigators dug into his background, uncovering a troubling history. Casey's Craigslist ad had presented him as a Korean single professional male with a small Yorkie, describing himself as a social drinker, non-smoker, and tidy. Initially, he and Maribel bonded over shared activities, dancing at local clubs, singing karaoke, walking their dogs, and even taking an Alaskan cruise together, which Casey funded. But beneath the surface, Casey's life was far from stable. After losing his parents, he had moved from Tennessee to California, following a bitter dispute with his sister over their inheritance. Her fear of his temper led her to file a restraining order against him. Court records showed a 1986 charge for assault and battery and a 1987 charge for aggravated assault, both dismissed, as well as a 2011 arrest for driving under the influence. In California, Casey struggled to build a social circle, often tagging along with Maribel's friends and becoming a constant presence in her life. In the summer of 2012, Casey called Lucy and confessed he was in love with Maribel, expressing a desire to marry her and start a family. Lucy immediately warned Maribel, who handled the situation with care, not wanting to hurt Casey's feelings. She firmly told him romance was not an option, hoping to preserve their friendship. At first, Casey seemed to accept her rejection, but his behavior soon took a darker turn. He bought a new wardrobe, got a tattoo, and reportedly spent $12,000 on cosmetic surgery to make himself look younger, all in an effort to win Maribel's affection. His obsession became undeniable, and Maribel grew increasingly uncomfortable. A neighbor provided a critical clue. On May 3rd, Casey mentioned wanting to file a missing person report at 10:30 a.m., just hours after Maribel was last seen. The neighbor found this odd, as it seemed premature. They also noticed deep uniform scratches on both of Casey's arms, which he claimed came from falling into bushes while walking his Yorkie. When police first arrived at the apartment, they discovered Casey hadn't been driving around as he claimed, but was sitting in his car, watching the scene unfold. During a formal interview, Casey admitted to arguing with Maribel on May 2nd, claiming she was drunk and aggressive, yelling, "I don't like you. I'm not attracted to you," and mentioning a gun. He said his recent job loss made rent payments difficult, which fueled their conflict. When asked about the scratches, he offered a new story. They came from a fishing line tangled with a duck at a local park. The scratches were deep, straight, and consistent, unlikely to have come from a plant, animal, or fishing line. Casey consented to photographs, provided a DNA sample, and allowed searches of his car, apartment, phone, and laptop. A cadaver dog alerted to the trunk of his car, and inside the apartment, police found a pajama shirt matching the bottoms Maribel wore in the CCTV footage. A small amount of Maribel's blood was on the sleeve, but no other DNA was present. On May 13th, Casey posted on Yelp, joining online efforts to spread awareness about Maribel's disappearance. His posts, often written in the past tense, raised eyebrows. Some users replied, warning him that his words could be misinterpreted, though they noted English was his second language. As the sole person of interest, Casey was placed under 24-hour surveillance. Detectives monitored his activity on a library computer, which was reset after each user to ensure privacy. His session began routinely checking social media, emails, and submitting a job application. He visited Maribel's Facebook page and looked up search efforts for her, including planned routes for awareness walks. But then, his searches took a sinister turn. Typed, How long does a human body take to decompose? And opened Google Maps, zooming in on a remote area of Majeska Canyon, far from Maribel's usual hiking spots. He lingered on a specific spot off a rural road, zooming in and out repeatedly, as if fixating on it. Detectives acted swiftly, heading to the location KC had viewed. On May 17th, in a shallow grave covered with rocks, they found Maribel's badly decomposed body. Her star tattoo on her left shoulder confirmed her identity. Due to the advanced decomposition and the intense California heat, the medical examiner couldn't determine a cause of death. Casey was brought in for another interview. Initially confident and talkative, he crumbled when detectives pressed him, standing up and storming out of the room, only to be arrested for murder. As he was booked, police found Maribel's military identification tags in his possession, a haunting detail. Prosecutors built a timeline. On May 2nd, after their argument over rent, captured on speakerphone with Paul, Maribel went to bed around 8:30 p.m., as seen in the CCTV footage. They believed KC, knowing her combat training would make a direct confrontation dangerous, waited until she was asleep and suffocated her with a pillow, possibly the one missing its case. He then placed her body in his car, drove to Majeska Canyon, and navigated barbed wire, causing the scratches on his arms to bury her in a shallow grave. Her purse, keys, phone, and cards were likely discarded along the way, as no trace of them was found. At trial, Casey's defense team admitted Maribel died in the apartment, but insisted he didn't kill her, claiming he only disposed of her body. They suggested she may have died from a medical condition or taken her own life, alleged to her PTSD, alleged paranoia, and supposed drinking habits. They argued she led a party lifestyle that could have put her at risk, and since the cause of death was unknown, murder couldn't be proven. The prosecution, however, painted a vivid picture of KC as a man consumed by obsession. With no job, no friends, and no stable future, Maribel's rejection and demand for him to leave pushed him to a breaking point. Key evidence included the April 21st 9/11 call, the bloodied pajama shirt, the cadaver dog's alert, the scratches, and most damning, Casey's library search for body decomposition and the exact location where Maribel was found. Though circumstantial, the evidence was overwhelming, likened by prosecutor Kelly Siegler to a bundle of pencils. One alone might break, but together they were unbreakable. KC was convicted of second-degree murder and sentenced to 15 years to life in prison. From behind bars at the correctional training facility in Soledad, California, he launched a letter-writing campaign to the judge, proclaiming his innocence and requesting a retrial. In an exclusive jailhouse interview with ABC7, conducted against his public defender's advice, he claimed the scratches were non-specific abrasions, not from a fight, and denied searching for the canyon location, insisting he was set up. He described Maribel as a platonic friend, like a sister, and denied any romantic motive, despite evidence of his obsession. He said he used the library computer because police had seized his laptop, and he claimed others could have accessed it. Casey's parole hearings in 2022 and 2023 were denied, with his next appearance scheduled for 2026. He has reportedly been working on a book titled Suspect, Guilty Until Proven Innocent, detailing his perspective on the case. Cal State Fullerton released a statement honoring Maribel. She was a beloved student and military veteran, actively engaged on our campus and in the community. A wonderful role model for our students, faculty, and staff. We honor her service as an airborne paratrooper and her commitment to her education. Maribel's niece, Giselle, accepted her degree posthumously, carrying her photo across the stage in a tearful tribute. I lost a big sister, a best friend, a role model, a mother figure, Giselle said. Maribel was a beautiful soul who changed lives with her kindness and strength. Maribel Ramos was a fearless fighter, a woman who served her country, pursued her dreams, and loved fiercely. Yet in the safety of her own home, she was betrayed by someone she trusted, a roommate who hid his dangerous obsession behind a quiet facade. Her story serves as a heartbreaking reminder that danger can lurk where we least expect it, and her legacy lives on through the family and community she touched. We at the Crime Decoder are deeply grateful to our viewers and patrons for supporting our mission to share stories like Maribel's. Your support helps us continue to shed light on cases that deserve to be heard. Subscribe to our channel, hit the bell icon, and stay updated for new case updates. Till then, stay safe, stay vigilant,